Okay, let's also talk about the letter that was written by 23 Congress leaders and the conversation that's happened within this meeting about what to do with those leaders. Meenakshi, we're given to understand that Amika Soni said that as per the constitution, action can be taken, but of course it really depends on whether or not they see it as a breach of discipline or trust. Take us through those details. What was the discussion regarding the leaders who spoke up before this meeting?
Well, yes, Tanvi, as we have been showcasing, you see there has been a substantial climb down of positions with these leaders as well, from Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad famously now backing for Rahul Gandhi and explaining his position inside the Congress CWC, saying that he was merely referring to those leaders of the Congress who are not a part of the CWC but had cast aspersions that this particular letter was written at the behest of the BJP. So Mr. Nabi Azad clarifying that if it can be proven that it was written at the behest of the BJP, then he is willing to resign from all the current party posts and designations that he holds. So that was another training of guns by Ghulam Nabi Azad at another leader of the Congress, who is Kumari Selja, because it was her letter yesterday which was written for Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, and also the reposing of faith in the leadership of Rahul Gandhi, which contained this excerpt of how this dissidence in the public opinion is only going to further BJP's interests and BJP's cause. So that was a clear jibe at Kumari Selja. That apart, obviously, we've seen the shocker from today pertaining to Mr. Kapil Sibal directly hitting out at Rahul Gandhi, and an immediate clarification of sorts being put forth by Randeep Singh Surjewala. And then later, Mr. Kapil Sibal again withdrawing and deleting the tweet, saying that Rahul Gandhi personally has assured him that he has never cast any aspersions or talked about any purported collusion with the BJP. So there is a lot of internal strife, Tanvi, that has come out to the fore, which clearly is adding to the embarrassment of the Congress party and understandably is giving a lot of ammunition and fodder to the BJP, and we have seen Shivraj Singh Chauhan already capitalize on this internal discord.
Okay, so there is obviously a lot of internal conversation, internal different schools of thought and what should happen next. Meenakshi, was the timeline discussed? When do they believe they can hold these AICC elections? Otherwise, we just seem to be going round in circles between, the wanting to resign but not resigning and continuing in the status quo.
Well, yes, Tanvi, as of now, status quo is what we are looking at. Given the fact that the country is still in the midst of a pandemic, we do not have any confirmation from our sources about the timeline or the roadmap ahead for the elections. What we have been told is this, that once the situation on ground vis-a-vis the COVID situation, once that is resolved, once things normalize a little more on ground, then perhaps the aspects of internal election, the AICC election, can be looked at. So a definite roadmap or a formal word will be awaited from the AICC subsequent to the conclusion of this meeting, which is pretty much underway. And like you rightly mentioned, 17 or so leaders have spoken thus far. But surely we are awaiting some kind of a formal statement or word from the AICC, as promised yesterday by Randeep Singh Surjewala, that upon the completion of the CWC, Congress will speak. So perhaps in that statement, there will be a little more clarity. But as of now, as things stand in the present moment, what we've been given to understand is this, that once the situation pertaining to COVID in the country improves, then perhaps a little more thought and diligent effort can be put towards the election process of the Congress.
All right, Meenakshi Banja, we are standing by for a news conference that may happen once this meeting ends. But of course, non-stop updates still coming in about what the conversation has been inside the CWC meeting.